All right, so you ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be. I don't have a lot of passion in the evenings, not like I do in the mornings when I'm all caffeined up, but I'll do my best.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a thing called the Leftist Lens, where two mediocre white men bitch and complain about the state of affairs in the world and go through recent events. I'm James.
And I'm Matt, and James is gonna learn about something today, maybe. I don't know.
I learn something every day with you, man. You're like Gandalf to me.
All right, well,
Oh,
last week when right before we were recording was when that assassination attempt had happened, and we learned more about it while we were recording. But now
and
we
I
know a lot more about it.
and I struggle with the thing that's being talked about so often with this. The mainstream news outlets keep saying they're looking for a motive. They're looking for a motive. Are you shitting my dick? Because what this we're talking about Trump here. At least I'm going to say 60% of the world despises him to a degree where this seems reasonable. So what do you mean motive?
Yeah, my mom has said for years, I can't believe someone hasn't taken him out yet.
Right.
And then this happened, and she says, I can't believe it took this long for someone to try to take him out. But well, first I want to say it happened. Okay. There's a lot of blue MAGA people and other people that are saying it was all staged. No, it happened.
That's just ridiculous.
It fucking happened. A sick, twisted 20-year-old libertarian. That's my opinion. His dad's a registered libertarian. He was a registered Republican. But I'm going to guess a lot of libertarians are registered as Republicans because sometimes libertarians run as Republicans and you have to vote for them. That's why I'm a Democrat, because sometimes leftists run as Democrats and you want to be able to vote for them in the primaries if they're closed primaries.
Yep.
Yeah, so a sick, twisted libertarian did that.
I mean, but yes, it happened, and there are a number of stupid ass, as usual, conspiracy theories that are floating around about it. Not whether or not it actually happened, but there's some legitimacy to some of this stuff, and some of it has to do with the fact that it appears to be held up by evidence that this guy was identified and seen, known to be a threat for many minutes before he actually fired the shots.
Yes.
Seen by the crowd, seen by Secret Service, maybe seen by local law enforcement. I'm not sure, but there was some disconnect, some significant disconnect there that makes me wonder, was this it just doesn't look good for anybody.
Trump has the absolute bottom of the barrel Secret Service team doing his protection detail. That was apparent.
You think that's what it is, or do you think that there's some
or their heart wasn't in it? I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, go dig deeper than that, because maybe they're sick and tired of him. I'm just saying.
I just don't see that. I don't know. I don't know. I really have no idea. First of all, the sniper that ended up shooting him, there's video of this. There's video of him looking through his scope at something, and then he takes his eye off the scope. Then you hear the shots. His eye immediately goes back to the scope, and he fires the killing shots back. He didn't move his gun, which means he was looking at the guy before he shot, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, because the kid would have been in position with his gun in front of him. It's not like the gun wasn't seen at the same time the kid was seen through that scope.
The only thing I can think of, because he was wearing combat fatigues, right? So the only thing I can think of, because there was local law enforcement backing up the Secret Service on that. They did not have a large enough Secret Service detail to secure that whole area, so they used local law enforcement. The only thing I can think of is that they were trying to confirm that it wasn't a local law enforcement guy. That's the only thing I can think of.
Interesting.
Because otherwise, none of it makes sense.
Right.
But there's other weird things. There's always going to be conspiracies about this. This is going to be just as bad as JFK with all the conspiracies, and it's for good reason. I don't believe these conspiracies, but there are reasons why people are going to believe them. Why the hell was that kid in a Blackrock commercial?
Yeah, what was the story behind that? Was he just called as an extra for some marketing thing for them?
I don't know. That is so bizarre.
Right.
First of all, I've never seen a Blackrock commercial before.
Well, was it a commercial or was it an internal training video?
I don't know. But why is he in it when he was in high school?
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Oh, so it was from some years earlier.
Yeah, it was years ago.
Okay.
But that is so weird.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was a training video of some sort. Because
And in other times you see shootings, mass shootings, because that was a mass shooting. 4 people got shot. Crowds usually disperse. Nobody dispersed. Why not? That's weird. Unless they couldn't hear it. But it was only 150 yards away, which is not a long shot.
Oh, it seems to me that as soon as the shots rang out, the people that were standing behind Trump at least all ducked and reacted to the sound of the shots. So
yes, they did duck down. Most of them did. But nobody ran, which is weird. And I don't know if that says something about those people. Do they really believe all their hype that they are alpha and so tough and
bulletproof?
They don't have to run from bullets.
Yep.
I don't know. But
I don't know.
It's wild that there's video of people that weren't in the fence line screaming at the Secret Service and at police that there's a guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
And you can hear one woman even knows who it is. She's saying his name. Crook, what are you doing? Get down from there.
Really?
Said.
I didn't see that.
And they did nothing.
Yeah.
It did nothing. It is so weird. But also, after he was shot, they also didn't evacuate him quickly. Like, how do you know there's not other active threats? They just left him on the stage and he was still an easy target.
Yeah.
And then they let him stand up and take that. I'm sorry, I hate him with all my heart, but that is an iconic photo.
Oh God. There's a car repair place down the road from where I live that has an electric marquee with, photos and shit that they put on it. And they've got a photo of Trump standing there with his fucking fist in the air and his ear dangling off, whatever. It just makes me sick.
I know, but if you can separate your distaste for Trump from that.
And I can't. Let's just leave it at that.
You can pretend to. I mean, that photo is incredible. It really is. It is incredible. And Trump has done an incredible job marketing this for his campaign.
Of course he has.
It
has nothing to do with his statement of political policies that, represent him. It has nothing to do with the measure of his integrity or, humanness. He's milking it for what it is.
Yes, but he's doing a good job of it.
And
you said, I think last week, do you think anybody that wasn't going to vote for him before will vote for him now? I 100% think that now. 100%. There's independents out there that are impressed.
Impressed with what?
That picture, the story he told at the RNC about it, which was embellished beyond belief.
This is the thing. He's treating it as though he has accomplished something. Nothing was accomplished here.
Yeah, I know that, and you know that. But I'm telling you, there are people out there that are eating this up. There are.
I know.
It's disgusting. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And I don't know. I think that was bad for Biden. That was absolutely bad for Biden.
Well, before we jump into the number 2 item on the list, let's bring number 6 up to make it number 2, because let's talk about where things stand with who's going to be in this race. Obviously, Trump is the nominee. That's been decided. JD Vance, we're going to talk about him too, but let's jump to Biden. And I'm still 99.9% confident that Biden is not going to be the nominee.
I want to believe that. In fact, there were people saying that he may drop out this weekend. But his campaign manager came out and said he's not dropping out just yesterday. And I don't know. Apparently, people are saying that he's very angry at Obama. I guess he was already angry at Obama for not letting him. I don't know. I guess Obama told him not to run in 2016 and just let Hillary have the nomination. I don't know. I don't remember that, but that's what I read.
I do remember that.
So he was mad at him already, and now that Obama told him to reevaluate his campaign, he's really mad. The headline I read said he was seething at Obama.
Well, I had heard further on that tangent that Obama has asked him straight up not to run.
Yeah. Well, he shouldn't, and I'll tell you why. Nobody really wanted Biden. In 2020, was it Bo Burnham wrote that song about "You're going to make me vote for Joe Biden"?
Yeah.
Yep. Nobody really, he wasn't popular.
Yep.
Biden got 81 million votes, a large portion of which were not actually votes for Biden. They were votes against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
People were passionately against Trump, which I'm thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that passion is there today.
No, I don't think so either.
And Biden is wildly unpopular, under 40%.
I'm looking, at a 37% approval on Reuters and a 57% disapproval of him today.
Those are not good numbers, man.
No,
not good numbers. And his camp is not being truthful with him.
Oh, of course not.
Because Pelosi apparently went and showed him the polls to try to prove to him that he can't win.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, they told me that before.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I won anyway. He's got this underdog mentality. First of all, I want to say I 100% believe that Biden 100% believes that he can win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's, trying to screw over the Democrats. I think he believes in himself, which is good. You should believe in yourself.
But, yeah, because, I don't know if you said this already and I missed it, but Pelosi's position was that he's gonna bring the House down with him.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not that, I don't think nobody that voted for Biden in 2020 is going to vote for Trump. I don't believe that. But a lot of people that voted for Biden in 2020 aren't going to vote at all this time. And that's going to hurt him. He's not going to get 81 million votes, but Trump is still going to get 71 million votes. So he has to drop out. Plus, how can he go to the convention being told by Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, and Jeffries that he should drop out?
Well, but you know how these things go, because the same thing is happening on the Republican side. And then a good example of this is J.D. Vance used to call Trump America's next Hitler, and he's now Trump's best buddy. So when we get to the convention, if balls are against the wall and Biden is still the entitled one to walk away with the nomination, all these people who are talking shit about him now are gonna have his back 100%. That's where the criticism of him will end, is at the convention. And I think he's waiting that out. He knows that that's how this is going to turn out if he can make it to the convention, which is when, by the way. When is the Democratic convention?
In August. I don't know how deep into August, but I mean, it's not that far away. 2 weweeks, maybe.
Yeah, because this happens every time. I mean, fucking Ted Cruz did it in 2016, where or 2020 or 2016, both, where Cruz vilified Trump, and then he was Trump's little anal suppository, and there's no integrity with these people at all.
True. But the other person who told Biden not to run was Jeffrey Katzenberg. If you don't know who he is, he was originally, when DreamWorks was founded, it was called DreamWorks SKG. The S stood for Spielberg, the K stood for Katzenberg, the G stood for Griffin. Those are the three guys. They were two movie producers and a music producer that founded DreamWorks in the 90s, I want to say.
Okay.
So Jeffrey Katzenberg's a movie producer, billionaire, donates to Democratic politicians. He told Biden, the money's not there. We're not giving you any more money. And they've stopped giving money to House and Senate candidates as well. So that is why this is going to be devastating for the Democratic Party as a whole if Biden stays at the top of the ticket.
Yeah.
So he can't. But I don't know that I'm not confident that he's going to drop out anymore. I'm really not. I think he's that committed to himself, and he's not really being told the truth by those closest to him, like his son, his wife, his campaign manager. They're not being honest with him.
Well, at the same time, with all the pressure that is being put on him within his own party to pass the torch to somebody else, whose name are they talking about to be the heir apparent? The only name I've heard is Kamala Harris, and I don't know how I feel about that.
That is what most of the politicians, they want her. But I will say the donors have said they don't really want her either. They didn't put up a name. They just don't want her either. I don't know why. I just read that today, and I don't really know why. And when I say donors, I mean the big money donors to the Democrats. Democrats do raise a lot of money from your average Joe, way more than Republicans do, but they do have big money donors, and the big money donors still tell them what to do, which is why Democrats are still very pro-corporate.
Well, until the Democratic Party, the minus Joe Biden, starts grooming somebody to be the replacement for him in this, I don't see him being amenable to any sort of reasonable conversation about, and I even hate to say this, what's best for the party, because that's all this is. This is what's best for that particular party. It isn't what's best for you and I or for America or any sort of principle. But until they start grooming somebody seriously to be that candidate, I don't see Biden as being amenable to even talking about it.
True. I want to put an addendum to something you said right there, where you said it's not what's not best for you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is something I've heard someone else talk about it, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately, is the people who say, yeah, Biden's not good, but he's better than Trump because Trump is going to hurt women more, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But you and I, as white males, we're not really going to get hurt that much by either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Our lot in life is what it is, and Trump is not going to put us in concentration camps. He's not going to take our rights away. Right. So this is the thing. Are you only caring about yourself? If you're a woman and you say, I don't want my rights taken away, of course I don't want your rights taken away either. But what about the people of color?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Palestinians?
Mm-hmm.
What about the immigrants? Because Biden has turned very far right on immigrants lately.
Mm-hmm.
What about them? If you vote for Biden, you're saying your personal rights are more important than the rights of others, and I don't like that. Now, it's easy for me to say, because like I already said, my rights aren't really under threat. So I don't know if we can get someone on to explain to me why I should vote for Biden because he's better for women, or if I'm just going to keep believing that he's not better for people of color and immigrants, so I don't want to vote for him.
Well, but people are always told when it comes down to when you have the sort of freedom to choose who you're going to vote for, vote your own self-interest, vote your self-interests. And I think COVID proved to us that in and amongst the population of voting age consenting adults, there's an awful lot of people who aren't capable of understanding and exercising empathy. They're not capable of looking outside of their own self-interest to see who else is affected by things they may support or things that they may pursue. And I think that extrapolates into this as well, because if we're going to look outside of ourselves and outside of our own self-interests and look at the collective nature of communities within our population, it's not until then that we can really, because if we do that, I don't know how anybody is compelled to vote for either of these fucking parties, because one party is actively trying to eliminate anybody other than cis white men, you and I. And the other party gives lip service to defending and protecting the people that the first party is trying to eliminate, and don't really do anything substantive to protect them when they have the opportunities to do so. So,
yeah. So the people that are screaming that we need to vote for Biden for harm reduction, I don't know. I don't buy that.
Well,
But
I don't even think that that this time around a vote for Biden is really a vote for Biden. And I'm not saying that it's a vote against Trump. I'm saying that I don't if in some bizarre universe, if Biden gets reelected, there's no fucking way he's serving another 4 years. So if Harris is gonna continue to be his VP on this next ticket, then you're looking at this. This is an election about Kamala Harris assuming the presidency at some point, just as a function of Biden is he's falling apart, man. He's not going to be able to serve another 4 years.
he'll be 86 at the end.
And
That's
I'm
insane.
maybe if people are looking at that way, because as I say that, if I frame that way for myself, that voting for Biden, and I don't know if I'm bullshitting myself or what I'm doing here, but that's me not knowing what I'm doing is a theme. This isn't really a vote for Biden because there's no way Biden's going to serve 4.5 more fucking years. Because if we're looking at this for what it is, and that becomes really interesting because again, this is predicated on the idea that Kamala Harris is going to be his VP on the next ticket, which she probably would be. But that she's going to inherit the presidency. I believe that. So there are some benefits to that, I think. And she's not by far. She is not the woman that I think should be propelled into the presidency. I think there are much better female politicians who could and should be pushed into that position or have it opened up to them. But this is what we've got to work with at this point, I think. So I'm not sure that a vote for Biden this time around is really a vote for Biden. It's a vote for whoever's going to assume the presidency from him when he falls apart.
Yeah. I won't be mad with a President Harris. It won't upset me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't work on her campaign probably. It's not what I would prefer, but if she becomes president, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I think I would be too. I think there isn't a whole lot of damage she could do, and she could be the beginning of that next shift that we see in the political momentum in the culture of this country, because she'd be a woman of color as the first woman president.
And I do think that's an important milestone we need to get to soon.
But right, but is that how she wants to is that how she wants to enter the arena, by inheriting it, or does she want to be elected? I think there's some things to consider with that too.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're president, you're president. Like Gerald Ford was never elected, but he's still President Ford, right?
Yeah, but he was never really, I don't know. He was a pretty weak dude, I think.
He wasn't even elected as a vice president.
He wasn't?
No.
How did he refresh my memory? How did he get to be president then?
Agnew resigned. Ford got appointed, then Nixon resigned.
Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Biden, a few weeks ago, I said, if Biden told me he was going to expand the Supreme Court, I'd vote for him. He did say something about the Supreme Court. It wasn't quite that. He announced term limits, 17 years, I think he floated, and an enforceable ethics board. What do you think about that? Is that enough?
Well, are these things that would have to go through Congress to get approved? What's the process for those sorts of changes regarding the Supreme Court actually becoming reality?
The ethics board Congress can do, I'm pretty sure. The term limits, that's a constitutional amendment, so that's never happening.
Oh, God.
And here's the thing. They can expand the court without a constitutional amendment, but they can't put term limits without a constitutional amendment. So why did he choose term limits instead of expand the court?
So expanding the court doesn't require, I mean, these additional positions still have to be voted on through Congress, but the
president appoints, the Senate approves.
But in terms of expanding the court, the president has the complete ability to say, okay, here's 5 additional justices that
No, Congress has to do it.
Oh, it's still Congress.
Okay. Yeah, Congress has to do it, but it has happened six or seven times in the past where the size of the court has changed. It's been 9 for a very long time, but it has changed. Originally, it was 6, and it's changed 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, to reflect the number, because there's some correlation between the number of Supreme Court justices and the number of circuit courts. Isn't that the math?
When they set it at 9, that was the rationale they used. That there were 9 circuit courts, so we should have 9 justices. They were expanding it at the time, I think, from 7.
Okay.
So they're like, we only have 7 justices, but we have 9 circuit courts, so we should have 9 justices. And Congress did that. And that was a long time ago, 1920s, maybe. I don't know. 1880s. I have no idea. But whatever. When they did it, that was the last time. But yeah, we have said this before. There's 13 circuit courts now, so there should be 13 justices. That's what I say.
Well, I'd like to be a fly on the wall, because somebody must have said to him at some point, or to leaders in the Democratic Party, we need to expand the court, and they came back with, no, we can't, because I want to know what the because is, why this hasn't been done, why this hasn't even been floated at this point. And there's been no talk about it.
They can't because the Republicans control the House at the moment. But that's my point. If he came out and said that, I think that would spur more people to come out and vote for down ballot House seats and everything. And maybe we can give him the seats he needs to do it. But he didn't say that, so I don't know.
I think you're right. I think that would do it for me too. That would be enough for me to say, all right. And it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't matter who the fuck I vote for, because I live in fucking Florida. So whoever I vote for POTUS is irrelevant. Florida used to be a swing state. It's not a swing state anymore.
That might be true. There is a guy on TikTok that is breaking down all the states where people say my vote doesn't count, and showing things. I don't remember. I saw him do Texas, where there were twice as many registered Democrats who didn't vote than the difference between Ted Cruz and whoever he beat in the last election. So, which means if all those people who are registered as Democrats, if they voted, Ted Cruz wouldn't be in the Senate today. So he I don't know if he did Florida. Next time I see him, I'll send him to you so you can see if he did Florida.
Yeah, I want to see. All right. Well, we just keep hoping and waiting, and we'll see what Biden thinks is worth doing and what's not worth doing, I guess. Should we talk about Trump's VP pick, JD Vance?
Let's talk about JD Vance. James Donald Vance.
What a piece of shit. Anyway.
If he's had different names in the past, and one of them is the same name as you.
Okay. I don't know what you're implying here.
I don't know. He might be a cousin or something. He used his grandparents' name. His maternal grandfather is Vance.
Okay.
So that's where he got that name.
Right.
I don't remember the name he was born with, but he was a Hamill at one point.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was.
Like Hamel?
Yes. And I don't remember whose name that was, but it was some other relative's name that he used.
I'm very uncomfortable with all of this.
I told you you're going to learn something today.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm going to research that because I don't like any part of it at all. So I need to know.
He's from the Midwest. You're from the Midwest.
Yeah. How old is he? He's got to be in his, what? At least in
44.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going to look that up. He was a never Trumper not so long ago. He's just
like you said earlier. So was Ted Cruz. I used in the outline Lindsey Graham as the example. But yeah, he was a never Trumper. But then he realized, acting in his own self-interest. Hey, if I, cuddle up to Trump, maybe I can go places.
Mm-hmm.
He did that before he was elected to the Senate, by the way. He was only elected in 2022. He's been a senator for 2 years, and now he's vice president pick.
Well, isn't that exactly what Obama
Oh,
was?
actually, yeah, it is.
Yeah, Obama was
pretty
only a
much
senator
is.
for 2 years, and then so fucking Hillary too.
Yeah, that's true.
So experience doesn't really mean much. I remember the days when we wanted our presidential candidates to have been governors at some point.
Right.
And I can't remember the last person who, I think Bill Clinton was the last governor to become president.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Yep.
Because it's been Obama and Trump's and Biden since then. Now, Biden had experience, not a governor, but he was in the Senate forever.
Yeah.
All right, but other things about him. Yeah, he kind of pretends to be like a kind of down-to-earth, blue-collar guy. All right, so J.D. Vance pretends to be kind of a blue-collar, down-to-earth guy, but he's not. He's Ivy League educated. Nothing wrong with that, but not a lot of blue-collar guys go to Ivy League schools.
Well, yeah, and what kind of a woman who clerked for John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh is going to marry some podunk average Midwestern guy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Also, he worked for Peter Thiel. I don't know if we've talked about him before or not.
I know the name, but I'm not. It's not. I mean, it rings bells, but I don't know the specifics with this guy.
He's was a very early investor in PayPal.
Okay.
And became a billionaire. And he probably invested in other stuff before that, but I know he got really rich with PayPal. He's in the movie The Social Network because he invested in Facebook too early. Got even more rich. He currently manages a private equity firm called Palantir, which is a favorite of the crypto techno, alpha males. they love Palantir, the day traders and such. So that's what he runs now. But he's a big time Republican donor. He gave J.D. Vance $10 million for the Senate campaign, and basically, gave him all the money he needed to win that election. Peter Thiel isn't really a Republican; he's a libertarian, which is worse, if you ask me.
Yep.
He at one point, I don't know if you watched Silicon Valley. It was a TV show on HBO years ago.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
But there was a character. There was a character that was based on him in that, but then the actor died, and then he wasn't. They changed it and wasn't in it anymore. But he has lots of land in New Zealand because I don't know, these libertarians like New Zealand because I guess there's not a lot of laws there. I don't know, but he likes terrible things. Also, he's gay, which is weird. I don't understand any Republicans who are gay. I never understand it.
Right. Being gay is not a choice, but being a Republican is, and the two things are incompatible. So what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah, I don't know. We could also talk about how Grindr crashed in Milwaukee while the
I heard about that
convention was going on. Apparently, that happened in Cleveland too in 2016.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
Oh God. He's anti-labor and he's J.D. Vance is the one who's anti-labor and pro-Russia, right?
Yeah. J.D. Vance is anti-labor, doesn't like unions, and he is anti-Ukraine, pro-Russia. So that's who he is. He's MAGA to the bone. So yeah, he's terrible. So you consider there's a chance Trump's a little bit younger than Biden, but he's in way worse physical condition. His the possibility of him having a massive heart attack or something any given day is better than average. So he may not survive another 4 years either. So you got to look hard at J.D. Vance because he may be president too.
Yeesh.
But yeah, he's significantly younger. I think he's only 44. But yeah, he's terrible. What do you expect? But that's another thing. How do you vote for a guy who was president and whose own vice president from that term that he served won't even endorse him? And that's wild.
You're referring to
Mike Pence.
Oh, yeah. Has Pence said he's not going to vote for Trump?
I don't know if he said he wouldn't vote for him, but he said he's not endorsing him.
Yeah, and he didn't go to the convention either.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised. Trump supporters wanted to hang him on January 6th. So I'm not surprised he didn't want to stay there.
Jesus.
Or go there. But yeah, I don't see how people can vote for. I mean, that should tell you something about the candidate, right? Like his own vice president that served under him won't even endorse him.
Yeah.
That's how terrible Trump is. But anyway.
Well, and I think 90% of the people that he had working for him, appointed cabinet members, have the same position, that they won't support him.
True.
And I've seen interviewers corner Trump on that a couple of times in the past few months, and Trump supporters on that how in the fuck can you explain this, that everybody that's worked for this man refuses to support him and is warning the rest of the world about him, and they jump through all sorts of hoops to justify it and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's not going to be good if Trump becomes president, but it's not going to be good if Biden becomes president. It's not going to be good if Harris becomes president, because it's just not good, right?
It's all the same thing over and over and over again. And the only thing that Harris has going for her is that she's a woman of color. But I don't feel like there's a strong momentum behind the communities of women and people of color that would go crazy over Kamala Harris as president. She's very unappealing.
I don't know. I liked her a lot when she was in the Senate. I really did.
I thought she was
great in committees and everything. As vice president, I don't even know what she's like because I haven't seen her. She's invisible.
But the only stuff that I saw her do as vice president was right when Biden got elected, and she sounded like a goddamn fool. She sounded like a blithering idiot. And I've seen her debates in the Senate when she was in the Senate, and she was intelligent and articulate and edgy, and said all the right things and said them in the right way. But something happened when she became Joe Biden's running mate. She just became an absolute idiot. It saddens me. I mean, there was potential for her to be the heir apparent for a very new era. And I don't feel like she's the person for that, but she is who we would have if Biden doesn't take the nomination, and two, if Biden gets reelected and croaks, in the first year of his second term.
Speaking of debates, though, she challenged JD Vance to a debate. He declined.
Well, that's weird too, because there's always only been one VP debate in a campaign. There's always only been one scheduled, and what the fuck was his reasoning for not wanting to debate her?
I don't know if he gave a reason.
I
don't know if you remember, but like a few years ago, I feel like it was during the 2020 campaign. Didn't Republicans say they weren't going to debate anymore? Period.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that was a lie. That was all bluster. But Biden and Trump, are they going to have one more debate or no?
They have one scheduled, but I don't know. I mean, can Biden cancel that debate and somehow have that be a good thing? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But
he has to do it, and then if he performs like he did in the first one, he's toast.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot believe they're still gonna make us vote for him. I mean, they're not making us, but you know what I mean.
I know.
All right. So here's another thing. Elon Musk tweeted, "I'm not giving money to either candidate." 2 hours later, he tweeted, "I'm giving $45 million a month to a pro-Trump super PAC until the election."
So that's always been the end around for those types of donations anyway. It's not to the candidates, to a super PAC. It's not
right. You can only give $2,500 to a candidate.
Yeah. So it's
you can give whatever to the PACs. But $45 million a month, July, August, September, October, That's $180 million.
That's a fucking tax write-off for him. That's all that is. It's a tax write-off.
Maybe that's all that is for him.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's huge for Trump.
It's fucking disgusting.
Nobody is giving a Biden PAC that much money.
No.
So that's crazy. I can't wait to see the ads they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Also, okay, I have a Twitter account that I had for over a decade that got suspended because someone posted a picture of Trump and it was photoshopped so that he was in a grocery store grocery shopping. And it said on it, "What would you do if you're in the grocery store and you came upon this guy?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I would punch him in the face. And I got suspended permanently from Twitter.
Was this before Musk owned it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've appealed many, many times. Every time Musk unsuspends someone else's account who said way worse things, I appeal and I get denied every time. And today, someone made an AI video of the scene in The Matrix where Neo fights Agent Smith, where he stops the bullets and then fights him, and then he goes inside of him and explodes them.
Right.
Someone made an AI video of that scene with Trump's face on Neo and Biden's face on Agent Smith. Elon Musk himself quote tweeted it and said, "Best AI video ever."
God.
So Elon Musk literally quote tweeted and supported a video of Trump killing Biden. And I appealed again as soon as I saw that video, and I appealed again. We'll see how my appeal goes this time.
I'm going to put money on you being told to go eat shit. That's just my guess.
Yeah. Wild.
All right, so let me see.
All right, we got, if you want to talk about Yemen, you want to talk about that?
Well, let's jump back to what was number 2 about, because we haven't talked yet about Judge Cannon dismissing the classified documents case and Jack Smith appealing it. So I think the meat of that conversation is, yeah, Jack Smith has appealed it to the 11th Circuit Court. It'll get decided there. He'll probably win. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. So it's pretty obvious what the Supreme Court's going to do, no?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, special counsels have been a thing forever. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a special counsel that investigated Nixon, so Republicans won't like that. But it was a special counsel that investigated Clinton. Republicans would like that. It was a special counsel that investigated Trump for his first impeachment, which they ended up not. That was for the Russian election interference, right? That was what the special counsel investigated, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but nothing came out of that. Obstruction. I think the guy actually recommended obstruction charges, but not while he was president, I think was how he termed it.
Yeah, Mueller.
Right. So I don't know. I'm sure there's been other special counsels. Those are just the ones I know. Ken Starr was the one that did Clinton, right?
Yes.
Well,
even go forget it. I mean, go outside the loop of presidents, and I mean, they're like Hunter Biden has filed an appeal to have his conviction overturned because it was prosecuted by a special prosecutor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And he should have his conviction overturned. And anybody who's had their case has had the hands of a special prosecutor, an appointed special prosecutor on it, based on this, for the sake of consistency, should have their case vacated.
All right.
I just don't see the basis for the Supreme Court doing anything other than upholding what brings this case to their door in the first place, which was their actions that propelled this. I think Judge Cannon is an absolute abhorrent piece of human debris. Yeah. And the decision she made about this was she was looking for a chance to do anything she could to dump this case. I can't fucking stand her. She's disgusting.
Right. So I've seen the Midas Touch Network. They've got a lawyer show called Legal as Fuck or Legal AF.
Mm-hmm.
I watch that regularly. Michael Popak and Catherine Ignigolo. I can't remember her name, but they're pretty good. They're lawyers and they just talk about legal stuff, which tends to be about Trump a lot. But they both 100% believe that this was great because it's going to get Cannon thrown off the case and everything. But like, yeah, can't they go to the Supreme Court though? And then it'll probably just go away. So first of all, in the decision when the Supreme Court gave Trump immunity, well, they gave all presidents immunity for official acts. But the brief that Clarence Thomas wrote about that asked the question, are special counsels constitutional? And that's what prompted this. So he essentially told Cannon to do this. So we know how he'll vote.
Yeah.
But will the other 5 conservatives all agree?
Because their fingerprints aren't on any part of that.
Yeah.
The other justices.
No, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was just from what you said and from what I understood previously anyway, was that it was just Clarence Thomas who made any mention of this at all regarding special prosecutors.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're right. And maybe it could go differently once it gets to the Supreme Court. And I don't know how quickly. See, we're really up against the fucking clock here, because once it gets to, well, we still have till January 20th. I don't know if Trump wins the election in November, he's president-elect. If he doesn't yet have any power to pardon himself, right?
No.
It wouldn't be until he's inaugurated January 20th.
Correct. And it is normal that right after the inauguration, presidents go sit in the Oval Office and sign a bunch of executive orders. They all do that. So I'm sure they'll have his pardon paperwork sitting on the desk in the Oval Office right after the inauguration. He'll go in there and do that,
as well as all the J6ers that are sitting in prison. And by the way, I'm going to use this opportunity to make this official and call it, if Trump wins the election in November, Biden is not showing up for the inauguration. It's just not happening. It's not happening.
I disagree. I hope we don't have to find out, but I disagree with you. I think he would show up.
That's what people said to me when I said Trump's not showing up if Biden wins the election last go around, and look what happened. And I don't think that's Biden being petty. I think Biden's going to do it on principle, because Trump is a fucking criminal, and he's a threat to the fabric of what the illusion of this country has been for a long time.
Yeah, but Biden's all about that unity, man. He's all about that unity.
Who wants unity with a person like that?
Biden does. That's what I'm telling you. That's one of the reasons why I don't like him. He's telling me I got to unify with these motherfuckers that are all racist and misogynist and fascist. No, I don't want to unify with them.
That's been my position forever. It's disgusting. The whole idea of unity with the right is just, it's contrary to common sense, and I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it either.
Man,
never, ever.
I'm taking my Legos and going home. God damn it. But yeah, so the case will go to, I like your take on it, that the Supreme Court could vote differently on this because of the fact that it was only Clarence Thomas that had a boner for Eileen Cannon, and they colluded to dismiss this case.
Yeah, but we don't know. I'm just saying it's not a certainty that they'll, give
no, but there's no overwhelming opinion from the other 5 justices on that specific of the ruling that they gave about this that propelled this. So I think it's an equal possibility that it's wide open in terms of how the Supreme Court could go.
Yeah, it's wide open. We don't know what'll happen.
But it will never get done before January 20th.
No, probably no. I mean definitely not.
So for that reason, should we vote for Biden to make sure that we can get this, put a nail in this fucking coffin? I don't fucking know.
I don't know either. Like you said, your vote doesn't matter as much. Mine does, kinda, in Pennsylvania. I'm still on the fence. I don't want to vote for Biden, but I might. I might. I
All
don't
right.
know.
So look, since my vote is pretty much worthless, you're going to look to me on November 2nd, and you're going to ask me who you should vote for, and I will tell you who you should vote for, and you can just you can trust that, and you can run with it, and you're going to be okay.
All right.
I wouldn't do you wrong.
I'm still hoping there's different choices.
There might be.
All right. So there has been some movement in the Middle East.
Did you see that? Did you see the footage of the Yemeni drone just casually going into downtown Tel Aviv and blowing shit up?
I did see it. That thing was loud as hell.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were so loud.
And Netanyahu and his team are calling it a major malfunction of the Iron Dome system because there wasn't a single anything in the air, even looking at that thing coming in, other than people with their cell phones.
You know, there's a guy I follow on TikTok that's like a military expert. I don't really know what his credentials are, but he does seem to know what he's talking about. And he's when Iran did that, you know, couple hundred missile thing they did, right?
Yep.
He said right after that they were testing the Iron Dome and learning about it. That's what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And so they put all that data together and like, hey, you know what we can do? We can get a drone, and if we fly at this altitude and take this route, they can't get us. And that's what that looks like. That's what they did. But Israel today, they're bombing Yemen. Or yesterday, I guess they started. They've started airstrikes in Yemen.
Yeah.
So there's a second front on that war. It's an expansion. I think that peace deal that Biden put together is dead.
I haven't heard anything about that for days now.
I haven't either. Since last week we talked about how Netanyahu changed it because he doesn't want to let Palestinians that they have in prisons go home. He doesn't want to release their prisoners of war, but he wants Hamas to release theirs, you know. Because I'm not calling them hostages anymore. They're prisoners of war.
Yep.
But anyway, so I think that's dead, and now we have an escalation. So where's this going to go from here?
I hope the escalation includes Lebanon. I hope the escalation includes Iran, and I hope they drag Israel out to the point of absolute exhaustion. And unfortunately, they've got an endless supply of weapons that would continue to come their way via the United States and other countries. But yeah, I hope it wears Israel down to the point of absolute, to a coup of an absolute destruction of Netanyahu and his Likud party. And yeah,
you want to see a powerful video? There's a video of Orthodox Jews in Israel protesting, and they have signs talking about how they got to destroy the enemy. And you know who the enemy is to them?
Israel.
It's Israel.
Yeah. And they're getting their
because
ass
the Israel courts said that because these Orthodox Jews in Israel had a special dispensation where they didn't have to serve in the IDF.
Yep.
And the courts took that away, so they're unhappy, and they're flat out saying Israel's the enemy.
And they've said that for the longest time. The Orthodox Jewish community doesn't believe there should be a state of Israel. It's counter to their religious doctrine and so forth. But then they went and they threw the final nail in that coffin by the court in Israel saying that they can be drafted and they have to be conscripted into mandatory military service, which is just it overturns generations of process in that country, and they're rightfully pissed off.
Yep. In other news, the ICJ declared officially that Israel's occupation of Palestine is illegal.
That's the next thing that I want to see, and I don't know how this happens, that I want to see the United States become a signatory to the rules of the ICJ.
Me too. Biden won't do it, so who do we vote for that'll do that?
Well, I think who's my Socialist Party people? Katrina, oh, for fuck's sake. I haven't thought about her in so long. Anyway, the Socialist Party candidate would do it.
I'd do it. Vote for me.
Yeah, there you go. I'll vote for you. That's what I'll tell you to do in November is vote for yourself.
I have done that before.
Of course you have. Oh my God. And then the Microsoft outage, which I can tell you proudly the Air Force was not affected by, because we don't use that software package that was affected by the bad code.
Oh, good. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania was affected by it, but only because we use Microsoft Teams for our phones and Outlook for our email, and those didn't work. So yeah, but what I want to talk about that, because I've read enough about it that I do believe this is what happened. Normally, when you are in software development, you test everything on a virtual machine before you deploy it on any real machine, because you don't know what it does.
Yep.
And it doesn't appear as though this happened. And this is such a major software. They are the largest software security company in the world. CrowdStrike is. I've never heard of them, but Microsoft uses them for their security stuff. They make Windows Defender and all the back end of Windows machines, all the security back end of Windows machines is CrowdStrike. So millions and millions of computers, including many that were part of critical infrastructure, have this company's software on them. And they pushed out an update globally that broke all those computers, which is wild to me. It's clear they didn't test it in a virtual machine. They didn't do restore points or anything. And I saw someone say that this is the way software is done now. I used to work for a software company, so this is why I was thinking that's what you do. You test things in a virtual machine, and you do all this other things, all this quality control and testing before you ever send it out to the public. But I did read an article where someone said they don't do that anymore because capitalism. They got to be faster. They got to cut costs. There's no time to do all this testing and stuff. So it's apparently a whole new philosophy of software development. And then when you find out that a single company has their software is so ubiquitous that a simple error in their code can shut down 911 call centers. It can shut down airline booking systems. It can shut down phones, email, banking systems were shut down on a global scale.
Yep.
That is wild.
Well, and I saw a guy today that did a line-by-line breakdown of the code, and he's looking at the code and in terms of how it was executed. It was by the third line of code in that package that things started to fall apart, and things escalated very quickly from there, which is what broke the system. And he said the obvious nature of what was wrong didn't even need to be run. You could see, if you know coding, you could see in the code the null reference that it was making to a memory register that was inevitably going to put it into a death loop, which is exactly what it did. And that's without executing the code. You can see it. If you know anything about code, you can see it in the third line of that code. And the fact that eyes weren't even put on this to verify that it looked good, much less test pool of servers and applications, is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, but it's also frightening.
Yeah,
because this was not a cyber attack, but it shows how vulnerable we are to cyber attacks. That just one small something introduced into one line of code in the right place can affect such diverse systems on such a large scale.
Yeah.
And that is 100% because also capitalism.
Well, I did see that China was immune to any of this effect, because China has a segregated system in all of their IT work, where they were absolutely unaffected by it because they don't use that software. And so they were actually saved by their own processes. That's a hybrid of China is a hybrid of communism and capitalism, but they were doing the right thing, and maybe they just got lucky. But
no, they don't let Western software in their country, period. Like even like like if you're Google and you want to do business in China, you got to make a whole separate code for them.
Yeah.
Which is part of the argument for banning TikTok, which that part of the argument I kind of understand, but China wouldn't let Facebook in China. Yeah, that's true. They don't. So why do we let
speaking of China, by the way, this is very niche, but it's something that I'm very into. There was legislation that was coming up that was going to make a specific brand of drone, which are by most measures the best brand of quadcopter drone UAV that's out there. DJI, the DJI company is a Chinese company, and there was legislation that was supposed to pass in the past couple of weeks that was going to make those drones illegal in the United States. Now, there are millions upon millions of people who use these as recreation, but also use them in their businesses for mapping, for documentary purposes, for a million different things that you could imagine flying a drone around for. Well, it looks like that legislation is dead because DJI agreed to disconnect those drones, because there's an option when I fly my drones to allow the data that it collects to sync to the cloud, which is a DJI servers then have that data, and they, you're in the terms of service, the end user license agreement, they can do whatever they want with that data, with whatever mapping and visuals that come back to their servers. DJI agreed, in order to avoid this ban, to disconnect those drones from the cloud, and it saved the hobby. It saved the industry. I'm fucking relieved about that, because I could give a fuck if TikTok goes away, but if I can't fly the drones that I've spent thousands of dollars on, that's going to piss me off. So I'm safe.
Good.
I mean, it didn't even take long for them to agree to do this. I mean, they saw what was at stake. They saw what was being, threatened in terms of the livelihood of the company. I don't see how TikTok survives if they lose their American user base, and they've got until January, I think, to come up with a response that would keep them in business. I'm pissed off about the TikTok ban too, because I have a business on TikTok that I make money from, and I won't be able to do that if TikTok gets banned. And that it seems to me that my government doesn't give a fuck about my income and my well-being, because
you have a business on TikTok that you don't make money from too.
That's true. I think we're ever going to make money from it, because nobody wants to listen to us.
Yeah, we say a lot of things that we'll never make money on YouTube because of the things we say.
I know. We'll be demonetized on the daily. So yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is I'd like to see an incoming president that knows how to play better on the world stage, and I don't think by any measure Trump is that person. I just don't. These isolationists in this country who think that the whole America First propaganda and that bullshit. We don't live in a fucking vacuum. We're not building walls around this country. We live in a global society, in a global economy, and we need leaders who can play well in that sandbox. And that sure the fuck isn't Trump.
There's a good video I saw on TikTok of George Bush, the second one.
Mm-hmm.
He's having like a sort of casual interview. It looks kind of like a town hall thing, but he's like sitting on a couch or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about the rise of isolationism and I can't remember the other things he said. There were three things, all the things that MAGA are.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about them. I don't know if it was while he was president or right after he was president, but he's talking about them as though they're bad things. And
yeah, I think I've seen the same video. I know what you're talking about.
Look how far the Republican Party has come.
Yep. Yep. They've been hijacked by religious lunatics and self-aggrandizing, self-enriching pricks.
Well, that's all I got for this week. What do you got? Anything else?
I do not. And in terms of predictions for next week, I think it's up in the air. We'll see. What
the Olympics will be started by the next time we're talking to each other.
Oh, they will?
Yeah, they start on Friday, I think, is the opening ceremonies.
Where are they happening this time around?
Paris.
Oh, I wasn't even aware.
Oh.
I don't follow that, so
Oh.
that'll be interesting.
I don't know, but there's been other things in the news, like the mayor of Paris was going to swim in the Rhine to prove that it's clean ahead of the Olympics.
Okay.
But then there was a protest the day that he was going to do it, and everybody was supposed to go poop in it.
Oh my God.
Because they don't like that they cleaned it up for the Olympics, but it's normally a shithole. It's normally full of trash and they didn't like that. So
awesome.
Then he didn't swim in it, but then yesterday he swam in it.
Did he? Okay.
So
and he survived, I assume.
Well, so far, I don't know.
Oh. Cholera and sepsis can take a little while to take hold, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Exactly. I don't know. I like the Olympics. I like the swimming in particular. I find it exciting. I like the track and field too. I like the soccer. I like the tennis. I don't really care that much about the basketball. I think I might watch some of it. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know, but I like the Summer Olympics. The Winter Olympics I don't care as much about, except for hockey. I like the hockey.
Yeah. Hockey is
actually I like the skiing too. But anyway, I will have stuff to talk about the Olympics. So we'll talk about the Olympics next week. We're going to talk about Biden having dropped out.
There you go. Yes, because that could very well be. I'm going to make a prediction.
It could be.
I am going to make a prediction that before August 1st, it may not be by next week, but before August 1st, Biden is going to officially no longer be the candidate for the Democrat Party. That's my final judgment on this, before August 1st.
Okay.
I'm not putting money on it, but I'm just saying that that's the drop dead date.
I thought it was going to happen while we were recording this, to be honest.
Wouldn't it be cool if things happen that way more often? Because while we were recording this last week is when Trump got shot.
Right.
I think it would be very, very useful for life-changing events to be happening while we're talking. And
that would be awesome.
That would be great. We can make that happen somehow.
All right.
All right, people, you stay safe until next week. And
thanks for watching or listening.
Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff.
Leave a review, argue with us, whatever you want to do.
Yep. All righty. Peace out, people.